Yeah, you definitely got that like tenured vet like look, you know?
Thank you.
Because you're all in, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. This is my career, this is my life.
I love it, bro.
Yeah, like I work at the Improv because it's the best place for me to not just get consistently paid, but also just be around the sport. Like last week I saw 4 Louis C.K. sets. I got paid to watch Louis do different jokes, try out new things, you know, test shit out that
Probably shake his hand.
No, actually, none of us really got to meet him. He was
private.
He was super to business. You know what I mean? Which I love to see. I love to see a comic that's fucking about his shit. Just being able to be in the same room and like experience that and be paid to do that, and like, you know, a lot of the comics were like breaking neck trying to get tickets for it last minute, or
I think I was one of those.
yeah, and some of the people that were there too were like I could see like on like we had a lot of comics come out.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of comics bought tickets and made it a point. Like some guys bought tickets to every show.
Yeah.
And came and saw every single one.
Hell
so
yeah.
so it was cool seeing like that support from the local community out there. But being able to like have that opportunity and like know about it ahead of time and like be able to, you know, I got a bunch of my friends to get tickets to the shows and stuff. Like being at the Improv and just being involved in that kind of environment is like the best place for me. To actually do this as a career. Like I always say, I remember when I was working in radio, I was listening to like Rogan do an interview with Shaffir and Duncan Trussell. And both of them were talking about how they were doormen at the store in LA and how Hinchcliffe was a doorman and like all these guys.
Really? Tony Hinchcliffe?
Yeah. He a long time he was a doorman at the store.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Damn, it's kind of like that. If you can't sit at the table, serve water kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. And just really, and more for entertainment, I feel like it's all about just like being in the room. You know what I mean? And however you can find your way in there, it'll be a benefit to you. And obviously the store is very different than the Improv per se. You know what I mean? Because it's just a different structure. It's just not exactly the same in terms of like a hang and like the comics that come through and the people you meet. And you know what I mean? But I remember hearing them talk about it and just saying like in general, if you wanted to get into comedy, one of the best things you can do is be a doorman and like it just helps you get in. So I remember I was there's actually, you know, one of the things that I told Ari Shaffir when he came to the Improv and I got to open for him. It was kind of like a full circle moment for me because I got into the Improv when I was offered the job. Like he's one of the comedians that I saw as like, oh, if I do this, there's a path to being a professional at this. You know what I mean? It's a perfect in. And so when I met him and I was able to open for him, it was like serendipitous. It was like super cool.
Yeah. How was Ari meeting him?
Dude, awesome.
Ari Shaffir is the one from Protect Our Parks, friends with Shane Gillis, Rogan, all these guys.
You Be Trippin' Podcast or We Be Trippin' Podcast.
I think his last one was called like The Jew or something.
That was his, I believe he's come out with one more recently. I forget the exact name of it, but the one prior that like blew up was The Jew. That was one the first one he released after the Kobe shit and whatnot. But he was so dope, dude. Like super generous with his time. Like was just chill, vibing, talking. He did some content with us for Cafecito Comedy, which is like the production brand that that we run out of the Improv. Hell yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So it was just cool, like just how like generous he was with his time. And I also got to do that with Bobby Kelly.
Okay.
It was like they were tag teaming a headlining gig because the very next day they flew out to Cuba.
Oh,
so that's why they were there for one Sunday in Miami doing their sets, and then they flew out Monday. They
like for travel,
yeah,
not for stand-up.
Just to travel. Yeah,
I can't imagine there being stand-up in Cuba.
He's a huge travel guy. Or his whole life. Like he literally has a podcast about traveling. So
I love it, man.
So it was just like such a like. We were talking about Cuba and he talked like he asked me about my family and like the experience and stuff. So like just being that open, like he doesn't have to do that. You know, I've opened for a lot of comedians. I've been blessed enough to open for a lot of comedians at the Improv and headliners. And you know, some of those guys like and for their own right, you know, they're like in their notes, they're locking in. They're not really there to like make friends with you per se.
Right.
Like
it's
these
very
guys,
mindful gig.
Yeah, and these guys are also thinking about they're traveling the country, dude. They're doing different rooms every single week. They're doing different cities every single week. They're not really there to make friends or like for some of them it's a job still, you know?
Yeah. At that point they're not looking for someone to host or to put them on their lineup anymore. Like they're getting called left and right.
Yeah.
Wait, so you met him at the Improv. You said it was very serendipitous. How did you end up going from that to opening for him?
Well, no, I met him because I opened for him.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Yeah, I met him because I was hosting because I got picked to host for that gig.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And how long were you into your like tenure, your comedy tenure?
I was well over 2 years. Like this was recently. This was a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
that this happened.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. So you said you've been doing it since around the pandemic, right?
No. I started about 3 years ago. So
Okay.
like 2022.
Yeah, like tail end of the pandemic. You were doing radio before, you were saying.
Yeah. Oh,
And
actually 2023, I believe, is the year I started.
time
2023.
flies, huh?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I lost track of time, like especially going into this year. Like it feels like it's all blending together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was your first like show, gig experience? Like what made you get into it?
So what got me into it was working at the Improv.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like I was saying, I was working in radio, kind of fell through. Company after COVID, like didn't do really good. So when that kind of went to the wayside, I was kind of left in a little bit of a limbo.
Yeah.
And wasn't really sure what I was gonna do, if I was gonna go back to school, if I was gonna pursue maybe another gig in radio. And then I got a call from my good buddy Ben Smith.
Yeah,
Who we know.
Yeah. Love Ben.
Yeah. He also works at the Improv. He's a server there. He's been working there longer than I have.
Yeah.
And he hit me up out of the blue basically to just go and possibly move in with him. And that was the impetus of like the call. And I hadn't spoken to him. We've been friends for years. Me and Ben have known each other since I was in 7th grade. He was in 8th grade. And we did a play together in Miami Children's Theater. And then we went to high school together. And he was a year above me in high school. And we were really good friends throughout high school. But like after, we get to college, we do things, we kind of lost connection. And then he hits me up now for this like opportunity to move in. And I was like, again, in kind of in flux. And I was like, oh, that might be cool, like just go and like, see what they have to offer.
Yeah.
And I go meet with them at Arcade Odyssey of all places. Shout out to Arcade Odyssey, fucking best arcade in Miami. First of all, if you don't know.
Is that a real arcade or is that one of those bars like the Fort Lauderdale?
No, well, Arcade Odyssey is a legitimate arcade in Kendall. It's for a long time it was the last coin-operated arcade. Yeah. They've now gone to cards recently, but like everybody who works out there, like the whole staff, the ownership team, like they're top notch, and it's really cool because like by day it stays open. It's an arcade for kids and stuff, but then at night they start serving drinks, and like they stay open till like 2 a.m. So if you're there at like 1 to 2 a.m. on like a weekend, it kind of feels like it's like an adult barcade kind of thing. Yeah. So it's just this really dope spot that we love going to, and they invited me out there to talk about this. And the minute I show up, I see Ben, and we like kind of greet each other and we hang out, and he was like, oh, bro, like, that's cool. He's like, what are you doing right now? And I kind of was like, oh, I'm in between shit, like giving him the runaround. I was like, we might start up again. I don't know, like bullshit. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, well, like, if you want to come work at the Improv, he's like, I'm actually looking for someone to replace me right now. Cause he was working box office, which is I'm now the manager of that, like, of that part of the Improv. He was working in there and he wanted to become a server so that he could, serve and be a little more hands off in terms of like availability, so he can do comedy and shit. And he was like, I can't do that until someone replaces it. Like I can't have my spot not filled. Right. So they were looking for somebody, and it just so happened, they were like, oh, boom. And I was offered the position and kind of had a bit of a vision of, like I was telling you earlier, about comics that I've known from the past that are successful now, that's how they started. Right. So I was like, fuck it, like let's do it. It's fun. Like I thought about comedy and like doing something like that prior, but never like sat down and wrote jokes or knew of open mics or shit like that, Yeah. So there wasn't a path necessarily in there, but
Are you like a writer now? Do you sit down and write and work in your craft?
No, I write on stage.
You write on stage. Yeah. I love that. Who'd you get? Have you always done that, or did you get that from someone?
No, I've always done that because I feel like coming from radio, that's how I worked in radio. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's no script, there's no like structure necessarily to what you're gonna be saying. It's just like a conversation. You can be like, hey, we're gonna be going over this topic for this 15-minute stretch.
Bullet point.
Right. It's
what
a bullet
Louis
point.
C.K. does.
Yeah, for sure. And so building out that muscle through radio, it kind of felt natural going into comedy. I'm also a very non-structured person. Like I like to play around. Like even when I used to do theater when I was growing up. Okay. Like improv, I always loved improv because it was like I could do characters or I could do shit that
you could have fun. You could go off script.
Right, but also without a structure, and I can just kind of play around. And so getting into comedy, it was like a melding of those two worlds of like being in radio and like keeping it going. You know what I mean? Just filling 10, 15 minutes of airtime with stuff. I used to do 2-hour radio shows by myself. Damn. In the past, yeah. So like getting on stage and doing 5 minutes, it was like, oh, like I'm catching, like I gotta wrangle myself in, kind of.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about you is you are not like a big yapper either. Like you can fill time for sure, but like you are very attentive. Like you listen, you're good in conversations. Because most people that are like on radios, people just think they yap the whole time. But you're not. You can find, like, you fill the holes the right way, it's weird. it's a hard thing to do for sure. So are there any like comics that you try to mimic or like?
I wouldn't say I mimic. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of comedy.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I do now, but when I first started, I had never seen a comedy show, never seen a special, never gone to one.
So like I watch comedy in the sense of at the Improv, I watch people perform live.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of where I get my like, and maybe it's kind of a thing of like that's my job and it's what I do for fun. So like when I'm at home, I don't want to like sit down and watch a special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll wait for that comic to come to the, like, you know what I mean? And I get a lot more value in watching someone perform live or seeing like multiple performances.
Yeah.
That's where I watch comedy. So like, and anytime I see it on stage, I'm more of a technician about like what that guy's doing. Like you'll rarely see me like sitting in the back laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching a show. I'll be sitting there like stoic, just kind of like taking in the motions, seeing how they're dealing with certain things. Like that's just.
And it's not that you don't find it funny. It's that you know how you dissected it. You know how they wrote it. You know how they've practiced it. So like people ask me that too. Like people who have come to my shows, like everyone else is cracking up and I'm in the back just watching. And it's not that we don't find it funny. We obviously find it hilarious. It's just that you are like admiring their craft. It's like
and I'm also trying to learn. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to take notes. I'm trying to like see the technical aspects of how they're working and then see how like what that can mean for like my own performance or how I could use certain things. I'm not trying to like take jokes or like take inflections or anything like that, but it's more like the approach at how they're solving problems on stage is something that I can always take for myself, but it puts me in a state where like I don't watch comedy. And I also find that a lot of people watch or try and mimic comics and then they start sounding like that comic.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of Mark Normans out there right now. There's a lot of...
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
People try to mimic Shane Gillis with the hands.
Sure, there's a lot of like Shane Gillis-y, you know, and like there's it's like subconscious to an extent, you know what I mean? Like some people, they'll like something and they'll watch it and they'll like naturally know this is what makes me laugh. So even if it's kind of like a Robin Williams situation where like Robin Williams, people accused him of like stealing stuff, but then when he was approached by it, he was like, well, like in the moment, I'm not thinking that I'm stealing it from you. He's like, I'm just doing whatever comes to my heart. And if it's something that I've heard before, he's like, people reuse, like he justified it in a way that like, you know.
It's forgivable.
It's forgivable to an extent, but it's, but some people do that subconsciously without acknowledging it. You know what I mean? Like
true.
They'll just take something or the way somebody speaks and do it. And then you as a bystander are like, that sounds just like this.
And because when you're up there, whatever happens, you're not going to take back a joke. You know, and the Robin Williams one is crazy. I never knew that about him.
Yeah.
He was accused of it pretty hard.
Yeah, 100%.
I heard he even like told someone before, like after the set or before the set, like I'm going to use that or something.
I don't know any of that, but it's definitely like, but I can see where he comes from in that sense. You know what I mean? Like I can see where his head was at in that moment or like when he's as he explains that. And I think for me, I try and avoid the opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah.
I want as much of my material to just be me or like experiences that I've had or like thoughts that have just come to me naturally that I can then work on and kind of build out rather than just pulling from whatever I can to try and make people laugh. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, because no, it's 100% true. When you're up there, it's something you admired. You saw it, you laughed at it, you're like, fuck, why didn't I think of that the first time?
Sure.
And then you end up doing it by accident. Now, that's never happened to me. I've said the typical closer, like, I gotta wrap it up, wish my parents did, like stuff like that. I've heard like other comics like drop that one. And then after you say it, you're like, oh, fuck, I hate that I just like, you know.
Yeah.
It's one of those that like, you spit it out by accident. But yeah, man, I mean, it's very respectable that you don't even like watch it or anything like that, or you just try to like be yourself up there every time. Because I feel like everyone is trying to be the next like, you know, Cam Patterson, the next, you know, like, speaking of, are you like a big Kill Tony fan? Do you watch that at all?
I don't.
You don't watch Kill Tony? Really?
I've watched it when my friends were on. Like, if there's people from Miami that I know have gone on or like,
or check it out.
Or like I'll see the clips, but I don't watch it like on a regular basis.
You've never thought about like flying over there and doing it?
Nah, not really.
Yeah.
Nah, I think for
you want
me,
to do it the organic way, kind of.
No, not even, man. I feel like the thing about Kill Tony is that like, you know, you can only make a first impression once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the day that I'm going to be on Kill Tony is the day that I know that the minute that I'm going up is like a fucking disgusting minute and it is murderous and it's like the best minute I've ever written after 5 years of writing or working on it. Like I'm going to have that. I'm going to have shit to talk about after when they interview me. I'm going to, you know what I mean? And I'm also going to have to have some kind of intrinsic or built-in infrastructure or platform that I already have set up that is going to get amplified by that moment.
Right. It'll just piggyback on it.
Yeah.
Do you got an idea of what your minute would be?
No.
You haven't said it yet?
Mm-mm. I mean, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I don't know because, maybe one of the jokes that I'm working on now develops into that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not necessarily about the minute. It's more about like where I'm going to be as a comic in that point.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just go on, and obviously nobody wants to go on and like do bad. But also you don't want to like go on, do well, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then nobody hears from you again, and like, or you do medium, and people like you maybe get a few clips, and then but it dies off. No. You want to be Cam Patterson. You want to be Casey Rocket. You want to be William Montgomery. You want to be these guys that have come through, Hans Kim, and like taken that opportunity and rode with it. And like you really use it as a springboard rather than just like you were another guy on. And even if I can't guarantee that's ever going to happen, I'm not going to like go now knowing that I don't have high odds of that happening.
For sure, because then you're a deer in headlights.
Sure.
And then they invite you to the secret show, Red Bands, or they invite you back, and then you're like, shit, I have work. It's a Monday night. You're like, shit, I have work tomorrow. The secret show's on Thursday. It's like you have to be ready for any scenario when you do that. I've thought about doing it for sure. I was supposed to fly with PJ last year because he was at a film festival, and I missed my flight. It was like a 6 a.m. Saturday morning.
Damn.
Either way, he didn't get called up on Kill Tony, but he went to the Mothership. He saw a bunch of other lineups and shows. He did a couple open mics. And dude, Austin seems to be where it's at right now. Austin, New York. And I think like not just because you're here, I think Miami is getting there.
Well, I would say if you're looking in like the United States right now, it's definitely LA, New York, Austin, and not in that order. It's probably Austin, New York, LA.
Austin, New York, LA. Okay.
Right? Yeah, because it's just like you can't compare anything to Austin right now.
Yeah.
It's just too much of a hotbed. It's got
the money's there.
Not just the money is there, but like the talent is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody has flocked to like it's like become like a mecca for comedy in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
And I mean you got Joe Rogan and Tom Segura and Ron White. All those guys are like super integral in that and kind of being the magnet that's pulled everybody else in. But even the scene that's been created around that is like so crazy. Like I hear about open mics that have 40 comics deep, and like it's a packed out room of just like there's standing room only, but it's just comics. You know?
Yeah.
And like we don't have that here. You know what I mean? I don't even really see that in New York the times that I've gone. You know, so there's something there that's just there's a special vibe. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know what other maybe artistic movements I can compare it to that have been like attached to cities or spaces per se, but like it's definitely it's having a moment, you know, and nobody else can compare. New York having 30, 40 years of comedy infrastructure and built around it and years of comics coming out of there. It's still people, I think right now, if you're a comic and you have a choice, you're probably going to, if it's the same option, you know what I mean? Like you can live comfortably and you're weighing out New York or Austin, probably most are choosing Austin right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's just a ton of reasons to be over there. It's like, LA I've never tried. I tried Tampa. I did like Tampa. You said you did Orlando recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that?
It was dope. It wasn't really Orlando, it was Haines City, Florida. But it's like
everything above Broward is.
It's a neighborhood right outside.
Florida,
yeah,
you know?
it's right outside of Orlando. But it was super dope. Like the people there were like, they were super into all the jokes. Like all the comics went up. They did crowd work. They were messing with the crowd work. They there was like a whole group from Ontario. They were like snowbirds that came down and like were enjoying the whole vibe. So it was a great like audience in terms of them just vibing with everything. Because, you know, you can go to a smaller city or you can go somewhere outside of Miami and like what a lot of comics fear is like, oh, does like is certain jokes that are maybe more raunchy or certain jokes about this or that, maybe they're not going to work with this demographic. And it was cool going up there and seeing that like they fucked with everything. Like that was what I took from it. Like it was a really dope crowd and a great show.
For sure. I feel like when you leave Miami, there's way different opportunity. And do you feel like when you're in Miami that the jokes have to sort of feed into like that Miami, like Hispanic, like I-95?
So
or do you think there's different rooms that you can do like typical dad jokes, typical, you know?
Dude, if you're funny, you're funny. And it's really more, Miami's, I think a lot of people confuse having to do material about Miami versus having to do material for a Miami crowd. Those are two separate things.
What do you think the difference is?
So the difference is when you do comedy for Miami, it's
like Schultz is good at that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right. Yeah. Right. But he does it kind of the other way, where it's like if you're doing comedy about Miami and you're just doing it that way, you're doing a disservice to yourself because you're so hyper specific and you're writing and creating jokes that you know aren't going to work anywhere else. But you're also doing it to acquiesce to a difficult crowd. That the real solution in doing well with that crowd is the other thing that I said, which is like doing material for a Miami crowd, which is not necessarily doing Miami material, but making sure that whatever you're doing is like capturing their attention, or it's in their face, or you have to do a little bit of, you gotta do a little crowd work at the beginning to kind of lock different groups in. And like, once you get these 4 tables and get them laughing, you know, you can get the other, like, so there's like, you have to attack a Miami crowd. And I think a lot of comics, instead of developing that muscle where you have to like go at a crowd or like pull the attention back to yourself, they opt more for just like do the basic baseline shit that I kind of know will get a laugh and then create momentum that way. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just for me, I don't think it's what you have to do. Like just because it's a Miami crowd doesn't mean you have to do Miami stuff. Same way as if you're in New York, you don't have to just do New York shit. Or,
for sure.
Like especially here, it's super diverse. So it's more about the way you approach the crowd with your material, not necessarily the material you approach the crowd with.
Yeah, no, it's true. I feel like there's so many sciences and people that like dissect different comedians, but what you said is 100% true. If you're funny, you're funny. Even like I've seen, shout out to Grant Tolliver. I know you know him. I've seen him do a Spanish mic. 100% in Spanish. I don't even think he knows Spanish. I think he just like practiced his set.
Yeah, he just figured out those words that he wanted to say. Yeah.
And Cardo, I know Cardo does that too. We've had Cardo on here. Shout out to Cardo. But dude, it's crazy to think that like you can really just pick up another language. But if your jokes are funny, if your aneurysms, if your style, your cadence, all of that, it'll work. It'll find a way to work.
Charlie Chaplin was hilarious and he didn't say a word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was all
fucking
physical.
incredible.
It was all physical. It was all, you know, so it's like funny is universal. Mr. Bean is like that. You know what I mean?
Mr.
Like,
Bean, yeah.
Doesn't matter what language you speak. You watch Mr. Bean, that's funny. Like he's just funny. Like so there's something to be said about that. And like, you know, some people the goal for being a comic is like, for some people it's like, yo, I'm funny with my friends, but I want to be like that funny in front of everybody. And that's kind of what like I think a lot of us are like pushing for, is finding that voice that we use with our friends, or that voice or that that energy that we have
crazy
amongst
that you
them,
said that, bro.
And then project it out on stage, and that, because that's what's authentic to us. That's what we like. And so for a lot of people, that's like
that's what a lot of my friends say to me. Well, when they see my sets, I mean, sometimes I have killer sets, and sometimes I feel a little more robotic. Like I'm scripting my set, and my friends will literally tell me like, bro, just talk like you're talking to us. Like the other night we were leaving a restaurant, we were all just laughing our asses off, and they're like, bro, Matt, just do that on stage. And I was like, bro, it's so like no one's gonna get what I just said, you know? So you have to definitely bottleneck it and treat the people in the crowd like they are your boys. Not exactly like that, but I'm sure you know what I mean. I'm sure Dava knows what I mean. I'm sure all the people that we mingle with know what I mean, because there's something that brought you to that first mic, and there's somebody that told you. I know who my friend is that told me once, and he doesn't even know how impactful it was when he told me that. And I still feel like I have strides to hit, and I'm sure you feel the same, you know?
Oh, 100%.
And I was gonna ask you, because we usually shout out to Pooch and Andre. By the way, we're about halfway through the Stay Tranquilo episode, brought to you by Johnny Cuba. Stay Tranquilo, this is Arroz Blanco comedy podcast. What we usually do is we have them plug in like one of your best sets.
Oh, cool.
So I was gonna ask you, what do you think has been like one of your worst or most embarrassing moments, even if it's not comedy, even if it's just like working at the Improv, whatever. And what do you think has been your best one? Like the set that you're like, bro, I would send this to like Joe Rogan right now.
That's a great question. I think my like most embarrassing or worst set was actually one of my first ever times. I think it might have been the first ever
That's a good time to have a shitty set.
Yeah, I think it was the first ever time I got booked on a show at the Improv. And it was it was Spunky Robinson. Shout out to Spunky. He booked me on his show with actually another Kill Tony now regular, or a Kill Tony kind of personality, David Jolly. Yeah. I was on that show with David Jolly. I believe Pookie F. Baby was on that show. Pookie. A few guys that I've come to like now become closer friends with now in the scene, but at that time I was just maybe 2-3 months in. Yeah. I had only done like a few like new faces, like, you know. And Spunky was there for like a show earlier in the week, and he was like, yeah, I got a show this weekend, da-da-da. And we were talking out front, and he was like, you're a comic? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, no, I'll throw you some time. Yeah. And I was like, yo, that's awesome. And I remember being like, cool, accepting the gig, not realizing that 100% it's going to be a straight urban show.
Oh shit.
Like the whole crowd was just.
And your white ass just.
Oh yeah, no,
walked
I
right
had
in.
never ever done an urban show. I looked stupid. I was
Yeah.
wearing like a fake Gucci belt,
Oh
like a
my
shitty polo,
God.
some jeans. Like I looked dumb.
That's
and
hilarious.
so I get on stage and I go and I'm just bombing. Like
Oh, really?
yeah, oh my, it was awful. Like nothing was working. I think I got one laugh coming out that I made a joke off of the music that I played.
Yeah.
I played like a random song and I made a little joke about the song and like they messed with that, and then from the rest of the time it was downhill.
Yeah.
And like so I'm bombing, and to the point where like these guys are like talking in the front, and I like this was just right after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars.
Oh shit.
And I was like, yo, y'all gotta stop talking during my set. I'm gonna have to reverse Will Smith you. I said something like that, and like nobody liked it. It was like one of those things, bro. Straight up, it was like one of those things where it was like if you're playing a video game that it's like nobody liked that. Like when you make a decision in game, and it was just.
I was like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, like it was like right after that. Like I think Spunky came out from the side and like lit me from the side, like from the green room and
How
shit.
many minutes?
No, I did like 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it was quick, but he was just like telling me like I guess just like get off stage.
Did he give you feedback after?
No, I mean they were like, yo, that was like they were like, good shit, man. Like it's tough, you know. Like they knew how green I was, but like I still always appreciate him for that opportunity. Like I learned so much about like that kind of what we were doing, what I was doing, and like agreeing to certain things, and like material versus crowd, and like it gave me. I learned a lot of quick lessons with that one set.
Oh yeah, with an urban crowd, you got if you're gonna try to feed in, you got to go all in. JP's good at that.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I had no tools for that in my utility belt at the time at all. None whatsoever. Yeah. So it was kind of tough in that sense.
That's hilarious, man. And like, there's nothing worse than getting off and another comic or someone telling you it's tough, man. Or like,
no, like
because you're like, all right, I just fucking bombed.
Yeah, they knew. They knew.
Yeah.
But
it's all right, man.
But it was cool because like I think I was also like filming everybody's set that night on my phone. Like nobody brought a camera, and I was like, I'll film everybody's set. So they like pat me on the back for that. I got everyone their like it was cool in that sense.
Yeah, man.
So I got some value out of it at least. But that was probably like my worst ever like bomb. Like honestly, I don't know, like when I bomb, I have a really high like standard for myself.
Yeah.
So when I bomb, I kind of just like take it as a learning moment and move on. And then I also like I feel like I more internalize like lighter sets that like I had them going, but I didn't ever get it over the top. Right. Like that makes me more annoyed than just like fully bombing. Because then when you fully bomb, you can be like, oh, the crowd
took the risk.
Yeah, or
you
like
took the leap.
Yeah, I went on something else, whatever. But like when you have them and they're listening, and then you like lose them, and then you like feel the rope like grip out of your hands, like that hurts me more.
Yes.
And then like so it's not necessarily a bomb, but like I feel like I reflect back on those way more. So
an edge, if you will.
Right.
You edged the crowd.
And I feel like those happen way more often for me now than necessarily like a flat out bomb.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you can almost say that your floor is a lot higher than when it used to be.
Oh yeah.
So like you don't bomb as much. It's kind of like Marty. Shout out to Marty. He always tells me he doesn't bomb anymore. He does good, great, or greater or something like that. So I guess like where you are now, like 2 years ago, a bomb for you would have been an okay, or a bomb for you now would have been an okay experience 2 years ago.
Exactly.
So it's definitely like learning, just getting better. And
just having a higher standard for yourself.
Higher standard. Yeah. I do agree. The feeling of like that edge, when you kind of hiccup a joke or you forget the punchline or you miss an opportunity and you look back and you watch it, you're like, that hurts more than bombing.
Yeah.
Because at least bombing, you took shots, maybe the crowd was dry, maybe...
maybe the guy before you like just did a terrible set about some like heinous raunchy shit, and it's like they just weren't feeling it at that moment.
Like, all right, I'm here now. So
and I've had those moments, you know what I mean, where you just like the guy before you or the person before you goes up and you're just like, oh, great, like 6 people just left. Yeah. Like you were not just so bad that like these people weren't laughing. No, people got up and left. Now I can't perform for them.
Yeah, they literally walked.
So like that happens, but I think on the other end of the spectrum, like thinking of like my best sets. I mean, my set that I had when I opened for Ari Shaffir and Bobby Kelly was really good.
Nice.
I actually took that set and sent it in, I believe, so that I could have it be on the rotation. Like if there's ever hosts at the Improv, like I have that clip, and if they're asking to choose from a list, like they'll send that.
Nice.
But I think more recently, like my best set, or like the most hype that I felt coming off stage was I hosted for Have Nots on the 30th of December, the day before New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And it was a Monday.
Yeah.
I think it was a Monday at Dania Beach.
I remember that. Yeah.
And dude, it was packed out, dude.
Yeah.
Like I've never done a show at Dania with that many people. I've done a few shows in Dania. I've been like blessed enough to like open for a few people, a few headliners, and I've done a few have-nots there and whatnot. But dude, I remember like we were sitting down and doors open and people started coming in. And it wasn't until like we closed doors that there was not a stream of people just walking in. So like we watched this whole room just fill up, and us as the comics were sitting outside. We were like,
wow, here we go.
We were like, holy shit. We were like, yo, Dom, you killed that shit. Shout out to Dom P.
Yeah, Dom P's the man,
who runs Have Nots and produces those shows, man. He does such a fantastic job. Even the last show that I did at Have Nots on a Tuesday was still like 250 plus. Like it was just crazy.
Yeah, they hustle, man. But the Have Nots people hustle.
But there was something special about that, like that December 30th show. We had Jules Rodriguez actually, who's a comic who has ALS. He headlined that show. And like the vibes in there were amazing. And I remember going on stage and doing my set. I hosted and I opened up, and just the sound of the laughter in that room was insane. And I remember getting off stage, bringing on the next person, and just getting off stage and like still feeling like a high off that energy.
Yeah.
And the rest of the night went super well. Everybody did super great. And I think that was probably like one of the biggest like highs that I've had in recent memory.
Nice.
For sure.
Yeah, you immediately, when you get off, you want to get the video right away.
Yeah.
Like I run to the back. I'm like, how much do I Venmo you? What do I need to do to get the video? Dude, it's the best feeling in the world.
It's so good, man.
It is the best feeling in the world.
And I think that's really the feeling we chase.
Yeah.
Like I remember I saw a comic recently that's like kind of a newer comic. They just recently started. And they went up in a room that was like packed out, like it was like locked in, like if you do, it was one of those rooms where it's like if you're funny, they're gonna laugh. You know what I mean? Like it's on you now. You can't say you're at 7 C's. You can't say it's like Taurus and everyone's talking, or like you can't say it's a bad situation. You know what I mean? So he got up, did super well, crushed it, probably best that I've ever seen of him. And watching him get off stage and like the excitement that they had, and like that, like, and like the look in their eyes and the smile on his face and like high-fiving everybody and like getting props. Like I didn't want to say anything because it's like you don't want to like ruin the magic, but like you kind of want to go up to him and be like, that's the feeling you chase.
That's
like,
the one that keeps you around too.
That's why we do this.
You still get that feeling, I bet.
Of course, that's it, always. Like you're never gonna kill and not get off the stage with that energy.
Dude, even 10, 20 years from now. You said Taurus. Is Taurus doing a Monday show now? I think I saw that.
I think they were going to. I don't know when it starts, but I heard about that too. I know for sure that the Thursdays still, consistent, Taurus. Never gonna end.
We had Dabo plug it. I'll have you plug the shows at the end for March. I know Shannon Lalim, shout out to her. She's gonna be on pretty soon. We're trying to get Andy Pita on as well. A couple big.
I'm helping Shannon, Casey, and Eric produce the Riff Roulette at the Improv.
Hell yeah. So I think that's the one she wants to promote. It's in March, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll let her do her promoting, and then
I'm on that show.
Yeah, at the end, do your promoting as well. And I was gonna ask you, because you mentioned like posting. Are you big on posting your sets and clips, or do you just send them out like to Don't Tell, Have Nots, anyone else?
No, I don't send them out to anybody. The only person
do you post on like Instagram, TikTok?
I post on Instagram, but my clips I'm not usually posting because for me, like I'm in a position in my career where I'm not necessarily trying to rush blowing up or getting big or needing a million like video or anything like that. Like I'm young, dude. I'm 26 years old.
You're having fun.
Not just having fun, but like I'm trying to just build a base. Like I'm trying to build a foundation that's like made to withstand a fucking hurricane. You know what I mean? So for me, when I'm looking at like the career that I want, like I'm looking 10, 15 years down the road.
Yeah, you're in it for the long run.
Right. And so now to be like posting the material that I'm doing now, or to be like fixated on like, oh, I need this clip, or I'm gonna do this joke because I think it'll be like viral, or I'm gonna try and do this. Like it's just a mentality that from the beginning I didn't want. And like what I really love focusing on is like being a funny comedian on stage in the moment. Like I want to be really, really funny on stage with the crowd that happened to show up that night, and like get really, really, really good, and
love that,
and have all my intention on that.
Yeah, but you keep the video.
No, yeah, I still
Yeah.
film myself, but
Yeah.
it's more in the sense of like I try to not focus on like the clipping and like being like, oh, I got to get a clip out this week or I got to do this. Like for example, most of the clips that you'll see on my social media now are from Have Nots, and that's because Have Nots films all of the sets, and Dom takes it upon himself to get those edited and like posted with clips and captions, and he puts it on his Have Nots page, and you just collab. So I'll use that. I'll use that because Dom does a really good job. It's super high quality and it's like low effort for me. You know what I mean? And I don't really have to think about it. So for me right now in my process, I'm more going to like try and build out like a solid 45 minutes of like great material before I start burning it or before I start like posting everything or before, it's just like I have like steps to it. And
I get that.
When it comes, and I want to post more and I want to have like more clips out there, but I think that's going to come from like getting crowd work shit done and doing more like improv shows like Riff Roulettes and like I've gotten a lot of great content from like improv shows or like shows that I've been doing like material for that show. Then I'm like, this is perfect because I can post and burn it.
Right.
Where it's not like a joke that I'm working on or a bit that I'm building up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the posting and the social media is my least favorite part about it. Like the clips, TikTok, Instagram, I can't stand it, man. Because I feel like I'm shoving it down people's throat.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm a comic. Hey, watch. You know what I mean? But I feel like you're the first comic that told me you don't want to post. You don't want to blow up too fast, whatever. I feel like that's the way that everyone's trying to do it now because of like the Matt Rifes, all these people. So everyone's like, it feels like if you're not posting, you're not being seen, But you're doing a lot more shows than I am. You're doing the improv, Riff Roulette, Have Nots, all that stuff. So you are being seen. Definitely there's someone in the crowd who runs some sort of show, who's a comedy fan, who's gonna take a video, who's gonna repost you, So it's a balance of like recording, rewatching, listening, getting better, maybe posting, and just being on stage in the moment.
Yeah. And like it's funny because like the other day I was in the kitchen at the Improv and the guy who runs the grill, he was like, hey bro, he's like, what's up? Like you're famous and stuff? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And he was like, look, and he goes and he shows me a picture and some girl who came out to a recent Have Not show that I did at the Dania Beach Improv. She like took a picture of me on stage and she sent it to him and she was like, hey, do you know this guy? Like he's a funny comedian because she knows he works at the Improv, not knowing that I work there as well, But she was like, do you know this guy? Like he's super funny. I was trying to get his social media or whatever. But like she literally sent a picture. So it's like I don't post. I don't, I don't have any viral clips. But like people, you're right. Like you get some exposure. You do your things and people follow you. Like you go out to shows and you ingratiate yourself. Like people help you out. So it's cool. It's cool. But I think I also post a lot with like Comedy Calendar.
I was gonna say that.
So like I get a lot of clips out for the week, and I do a lot of collaboration, and I'm like building up my social media kind of by proxy through that as well. So I don't feel necessarily the need to like every week put out like a stand-up clip because I have a lot of clips coming out of something recently at least.
Shout out to the boy Art. How'd you get to know Art?
We just met doing comedy.
Nice.
Yeah. He just was coming out. I think actually we became friends through Peter Girl. Like,
Peter, dude. Shout out to Peter.
I think
as well.
Pete Girl, who's up in New York doing big stuff with Street Talk Comedy doing a lot of good like shows out there, producing, running them. So big shout out to Pete. Love Pete.
A lot of work, man. You guys put in a lot of work. I'm one of those comics that has like a weird normal day job. Like I do medical sales. So like whenever I see you guys out all night, 7Cs, I see Peter's post, I see Art's post, and Art also has like a 9 to 5 like me.
No.
Oh, he used to, right?
Yeah, he used to.
Before the improv. Yeah. And I'm just like, dude, it's a grind. It's definitely a grind.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's 100% worth it, man.
It's fun, dude. And like being able to find the time to like collaborate with somebody on like something like the Comedy Calendar that like me and Art both, we have a very like clear vision of what we want it to be, what it's like, what it needs to look like, the quality that we need to have for like every single episode. Like from the beginning, we knew that like we're not even starting this unless we see a path to like 50 episodes.
Yeah.
Like we're not starting a process, or we're not putting time and investing effort into something if we don't think it could at least be done 50 times.
It's funny because you're a planner in everything you do except for being on stage.
Yeah.
You like to go off the dome. That's wild. But everything else you do, you like to have it built up.
At least to an extent, you know what I mean? Because I feel like on stage, you really can't. It's such a wild ride. You can't really predict how the Bronco's gonna buck.
Right.
But at least when it comes to like what I'm doing with like Comedy Calendar and getting booked or like picking what shows to do and whatnot, I think there's a clear value structure that you can create for yourself that gives you kind of easy an easy like North Star to kind of point toward to be like, is this worth my time, effort, and attention? And like Comedy Calendar was just one of those things that like when it was offered to me, I got reached out by the studio that we produce it out of, and they reached out and wanted to work with me because I've worked with them in the past. They're like, hey, if you have anything that you want to do, like we'd love to help you out. And I brought it to Art, and I was like, hey, we have this opportunity. Like, I think this would be a good idea, like a calendar show, and like had a few other ideas that like ended up not panning out because that was just such a solid path that we were just like, we want to put all our effort into that. But we were given that platform. We've taken it by the horns, and now we've already done, I think, almost 25, 26 episodes, I think.
Nice. On YouTube, what's it on?
It's on YouTube. It is on Facebook.
Yeah.
It is also clipped up and posted on like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts.
Nice.
So it goes up on all those platforms, and it's just been great, man. Being able to shout out all the shows that we do, and also what we love about it is that it's like a tool for post promotion.
Yeah.
Which is something we never had here in South Florida. Like you would do shows and you'd post a flyer and like maybe you post a few pictures or somebody maybe posts a clip of them at the show, but you don't really see like a recap of what it was. If a new show opens up or something happens and like maybe it's a once a month kind of gig, if you didn't go to the show, sometimes you wouldn't hear about it, you know? Some people would, but some people wouldn't. And I think one of the things that we've like offered to these comics is like, if you do a show, you do something new, or you perform at the Improv, or you perform here, take pictures, take videos, like we'll take that content and we do a recap at the beginning of the episode of like, this is everything that happened. And it gives all these comics a tool for after their show has gone up, you get like another free clip. You get another piece of content that like, can be like, yo, this is what you missed out on. This is like super dope. And it like, you might want to come to the next one when you see a flyer.
Yeah. I love that. I hadn't seen one since you guys started posting it. And I think there's a lot that goes into it. And there's definitely like good recaps. You know, I find out about shows I'm going to when I see you guys post.
Nice.
I think it's amazing. But we're going to wrap up the first half. We good, Pooch? All right, we're going to wrap up the first half here and then we'll get into our game. So we're back, back on the Arroz Blanco comedy podcast. I gifted Sebastian, our boy, a nice bottle of bourbon. He's a fan, and as you'll see, he's wearing the shot collar. You guys know what game this is.
Yes,
and
sir.
ask him a few trivia questions and get back into it.
Let's see.
And then we'll plug some of his upcoming stuff after.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, like I was saying, so some of the stuff we did with JP was like the mystery meats. You remember that, Pooch? Where we had to do like a bunch of different jerky. And JP was surprisingly very good at it. He knew like the duck one, the alligator one. Do you remember which other ones there were? Ostrich.
Damn, and he knew it? He guessed ostrich?
He knew it. And PJ asked us like, this one is from Africa. What? That was the one no one guessed?
I was going to say, that'd be out of pocket. If someone was like, I'm so accustomed to the taste of ostrich jerky.
I don't know. JP
knew
it was weird how many he got correct.
He knew venison.
Venison.
Yeah.
And then PJ's hint was, this is one that comes from Africa. Like no one would guess ostrich as the first. I thought like elephant or bison.
Anything else, dude.
What else did he do? He did like a Wheel of Fortune thing with, do we remember which guest?
Jeopardy.
Oh, that was with, who was it?
The guy that won last year.
Yeah. God, he's gonna kill me if he ever sees this. Forgetting his name, the Master Debaters champ. God, he's gonna kill me.
Zach Newford?
Zach Newford.
There you go.
Yeah, I was drawing a blank on Zach. I'm so sorry, Zach.
I was going to say, there's been a few already.
Yeah,
There's been 3 seasons of Master Debaters as well.
Yeah, he probably hasn't seen this. We had Jay Millie on. We did the shock with Jay Millie and Madeline.
Big shout out to Jay Millie and Master
I
Debaters.
love what they're doing.
I love that show so much, man. It's such a good idea. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've said it a few times to a few people, like Eddie's, the open mic after Master Debaters
It's fun.
is the best Eddie's has ever been.
Yeah.
Like everybody's so locked in. Everybody's like having a good time already.
It's
that,
riding
like,
the high.
It rides
ride that
high, bro,
oxygen
and, like,
high.
I've never been at Eddie's, and like any time that they do Master Debaters, I try and make it out there to do that open mic.
Dude, I love Master Debaters. I got to the final round with Zach Newford, and Zach just tore me apart. We made it to the final round of the final round, and we had a edging round.
Oh, hell yeah.
And which his topic was, should you or should you not be able to grab a lady by the... which was the same day Trump got elected.
Oh, so it was
So
over.
it was like,
Yeah, dude,
he rode that high.
I had the same exact thing. I came in, I was runner-up for season 2 behind Thomas LeMountain.
Oh, Thomas.
And we had to go to a runoff,
Yeah.
the edging round, the whole thing, and it came down to audience vote.
Yeah.
I think he won by like 2 votes.
Did he kill it, or were you guys kind of back and forth?
Yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough. It
Yeah.
was back and forth the whole time, but it was fun, dude. That's the fun part about those shows is like it gives you an opportunity to just fucking go off.
Yeah, I will say I had just as much fun being a panelist.
Me too.
If not more, I think it was even more fun because there's less like expected and it's more just like roasting.
You feel like you're an American Idol judge in like the early 2000s where you can just fucking be like, oh, fuck you. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on Master Debaters. I'll plug it after sometime in March, and then we'll plug your stuff.
Hell yeah.
So let's get into trivia. We got I'm not gonna shock you. That's just what it sounds like.
Okay.
We're starting at a low level, around 7. That's pretty low. So we're gonna get you 5 multiple choice. I gave you the option of multiple choice and stand-up. Sebi is a big stand-up comedian, trivia guy, but he wants to do regular
trivia, man.
Let's do it.
It's fun. Let's do it.
Okay. So, who sang the title song for the latest Bond film, No Time to Die?
Oh, I already know the answer, but go.
Was it Adele, Sam Smith, or Billie Eilish?
No Time to Die. Billie Eilish?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. All right, you're safe. I actually thought it was Adele. That was kind of a
she did the one before. She did Skyfall.
Dude, see, I would have gotten that wrong. And I would have gotten shocked and cried like a bitch, for sure.
Yeah.
Look at you, man. Did you see all those movies or something?
No. Never seen one Bond film, actually. I've just seen the commercials.
Really? And you knew it was Billie Eilish?
Yeah.
Dude, that's impressive. That's more impressive than stand-up, any stand-up question you would have known.
Hey, I'm under the gun.
All right. Which flies a green, white, and orange, in that order, flag? Ireland, Ivory Coast, or Italy?
Ivory Coast?
Nope.
It is
Ireland.
Damn.
Let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead. Oh, so that's not really a shock. That's more of like a muscular fucking.
Well, remember, it's on the low. It's one of the
No,
lowest.
you're right. You're right. But I get you.
Yeah, I moved it up a little bit.
Okay.
And remember that happens to dogs, which is the craziest thing to me every time.
I've seen people with the dog collars, but like it's like for like protection dogs, or like trained dogs. It's crazy.
Like FBI dogs. All right, you got 3 more.
Go ahead.
You're 1 for 2 right now.
Okay.
You're doing pretty good so far.
Go.
All right. Which of the following is not a fruit? Rhubarb, tomatoes, avocados.
Tomatoes. No,
Rhubarb.
No,
I did not even know what that was. Oh shit, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one.
Go ahead.
Damn, you're taking it way too well. This is kind of scary.
It's more muscular.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is a cool one. I think we've asked this one before. Where was the first example of paper money used? China, Turkey, or Greece?
Turkey?
China.
China.
Yeah.
They're always starting shit.
They are. They are always starting shit.
But they can't use forks.
Why can't they use forks?
They use chopsticks.
Oh.
It's cultural.
That is cultural. Are you Chinese?
No.
Okay. I kind of figured.
Maybe after the shock.
Maybe after the shock?
Yeah, I might come back Chinese.
All right, this was the 4th question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still nothing. Dude, this is like, I'm kind of upset that he's not getting hurt right now, no offense. All right, let's go. Nah, that one's too easy. Okay. Which of the following languages has the longest alphabet? Greek, Russian, or Arabic?
I know Russian has a lot. I'm going to go with Russian.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. Damn, that's it.
There we go.
I'm kind of pissed. I wanted you
I should have gotten the Ireland one. Should have gotten the Ireland one.
Yeah, not bad. You are 3 for 5. I think so far our best. If you want to feel the highest shock, you're more than welcome.
I don't need to.
You don't need to? Okay.
Yeah.
You took it well, man. You took it like a champ.
Thank you.
I think so far the only one who has gone perfect or near perfect was Zach Newford. Of course, guy's a trivia
just true.
bug. And his questions were crazy, I remember, but it was a lot of fun. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up here. Feel free to plug and play any of your upcoming shows, your comedy calendar, the have-nots, the Riff, Roulette, everything. And I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
Again, this is Arroz Blanco Comedy Podcast. Stay tranquilo. This is Sebastian Alvarez. So tell us what you got.
Coming up more recently, this Wednesday, I'm doing Street Talk Comedy with Carlos Hernandez and Max Manov. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
I got Riff Roulette coming up in March. You can go on MiamiImprov.com and get tickets to that right now. That's going to be a super fun show.
Hell yeah.
Like if you've never seen any Riff Roulette or anything like it, it's really dope improv comedy
Shannon,
show.
Eric, all of you guys, Casey Graves, fucking killers, bro.
Yeah, dude.
I love watching those.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Other than that, man, I don't have anything directly booked. But if you want, you can just keep up with me, and everything that I'm doing on my social media at Sebi_the_comedian.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I post everything that I'm doing out there. And if not, you can also follow Comedy Calendar. If you don't want to just follow me, you'll get kept up to date with everything in South Florida. If it's an open mic or a big show or a comedian coming through, we also give away tickets on there. So if you want to get free tickets to the Improv, we give away like 4 tickets and $100 at the show.
There you go.
Pretty much almost every week. So if you're interested in that, follow and repost.
Hell yeah. Follow, repost, like. Stay Tranquilo, Arroz Blanco Comedy, Johnny Cuba. Shout out to Pooch, Andre, everyone. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Let's go.